Well, so my guest for the morning, I have in the studio the Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senior West and also Deputy Communications Minister, Nenyi Georganda. Thanks for joining me, Nenyi.
Good morning, Roland. Good morning to your viewers. And, good morning to my senior and my friend.
And your constituents too.
Yes, and good morning to my constituents. Ewutu Break, who celebrated their annual Awubia Festival. The Grand Devils yesterday, I was there with them. It's extremely colorful. It's interesting that for the past 3 years, the leadership of the traditional authority hadn't been able to come together to celebrate the festival, but we thank God that this year they somehow managed to get themselves together, even though there are still some underlying issues that need to be addressed. But at least the community, the Ewutu Breku community, celebrated their annual Awubia Festival. And so we thank God and we thank the community for such a display of unity and peace. And we're looking forward to the proper unity that would drive the development that we want to happen in Ewutu Breku.
Well, we thank God for your people. And also here is a former Minister for Youth and Sports and a former Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development. We're currently Member of Parliament for the Ododo Dio constituency, one of the notable flashpoints during elections in Accra. And Neil Antivanderpoel is here. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, Roland. Let me say good morning to my constituents, the chiefs and people of the Kamashi area. Also to my very good brother and colleague, Nenyi Anda, and to the viewers. But let me also say that I'm also happy for the successful celebration of the festivals in the Ewutu area. You know, I am partly from there because of marriage.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
He's doing a subtle campaign.
You see,
he's breaking the ice.
No, my wife is from Ewutu Ayesiako, so.
Oh, fantastic.
So, and I'm very close to the Queen Mother of Ewutu Breku. I was invited, but unfortunately I had to attend the funeral in the Brong-Ahafo region and did not get a return to Accra early enough to be there on Monday. But it's a good thing, and I'm happy George was there. I'm happy he's collaborating well with the people to bring unity. It's always difficult when you see that always festivals are the only time that we get people to come together. People are working in other parts of the country. Festivals are the time that they come together to relate with families. Sometimes funerals, they don't get opportunity to come. So if for one reason or the other, misunderstanding, you know, chieftaincy issues will prevent people from at least once in a year meeting their kids and kin, it's unfortunate. So I thank God that in spite of the difficulties and the challenges, they were able to come together and celebrate. We hope that next year by this time, they will have put the rest of the covers out, and then they will be able to have a much more united people to celebrate. It's a nice festival, and I'm happy they've gone through with it.
Well, good. And I see that you look sporty. You're wearing some skinny jeans and all that. You look very trendy. And that's why we have to ask you. You know the Black Stars, it looks like I won't qualify for 2018 World Cup in Russia after all. And you have been on the...
George, you agree with me that it is not part of the synopsis?
No, it's not.
Well,
It's
I do agree with you, but then I think that with the kind of expertise and knowledge that you have in this sector, it will be good to give a small briefing on what you think should happen.
I'm courting his PR knowledge to get me out of this man. He's rather pushing me into it.
No, because me too, I want to hear something.
But what do you make of it? I mean, looks like the composure of the team in itself, etc., just doesn't seem to be the right posture.
Let me be frank with you. You see, when I talk football with a passion. And my background tells me that I have to be very careful the word. Because some people think that anytime I talk, I'm talking politics. I will never do politics with sports. Never. Never in my life, because the people who engage in sports do not talk politics when they're on the field, when they wear a national team jersey and the rest. So we should be careful when we do things like that. People also think that I talk because I hate some people. Why will I hate anybody? Because at the end of it all, when football in this country or sports in this country thrives, I, as a practitioner, enjoy, and I get something out of it. Some of these players are our children, and I said when it's good for them, it's good for us. We've invested something into some of them, and I said when they also are prosperous, they also send something back to us. So we always will pray that things go well for them. The World Cup qualification has become difficult because we did not plan well. I've said it, and when I say it, people don't understand that this cow dunk management style that we've adopted for our football is not sustainable and will not help us. Look at the qualifying series. Look at Germany, for example. They're virtually having 80% new crop of players. They used that team in the Confederations Cup they won. And look at the team. Look at the Wallop Norway 6. It's because they've built a team. Look at England today. For the first time, England participated in the World Under-20 Championship, the FIFA Under-20 Championship, and won. They were finalists in the European Under-19. They were finalists in the European Under-21. Their women went to the finals of the Women's World Cup. Sustainable program, planning for the future. What have we done? What have we done?
You're saying we don't have a pool of talents? We've not been grooming.
It's not a matter of having a pool of talents. It's a way of how do you manage the pool of talents you have? What targets have you set? This crop of players, am I putting them together to look at 4 years' time? This group of people, are we putting them together to look at the next World Cup? This team, what are we doing to make sure that we are slowly substituting the old ones with the new, young, ambitious ones?
You think we've not been doing that?
We've not been doing that. Look, for example, if you have a team that have played in the World Cup twice, like all economic factors, they've gotten to the saturation point, they'll come down. There's no graph that is static like that. So the desire, that fire in them to qualify, to play, it will not be as it was 4 years ago or 8 years ago. So you now have to infuse the team with much more ambitious, much more aggressive young ones who will be taking over slowly from these people. And they will complement. You know, in football, it's a team where you play the biblical principle of let the strong bear the weak. That's why football will complement each other. When I move as a defender, when I move to tackle, you cover me up. You understand? When forward lines are moving, the midfielders will back them up. The defenders will back. That's the way we play football. So it's always a teamwork of complementary, let me say, efforts. But if you have a team where averagely 90% of the guys have dwindling
Career
paths, ambition,
playing time,
it will not help.
and that is what's affecting us.
That is what is suffering. Look, we should look at all the teams we are playing with. All of them, Uganda, Congo, they've built new young teams.
So it looks like we're not competitive.
Look at Nigeria.
They're walloping the African
Cameroon,
champions.
yes. Nigeria, apart from Mikel Obi and maybe to some extent Victor Moses, the rest of the guys are all young players, new players. When the old ones were misbehaving, when the Senate decided to cut down on their bonuses and things, they said, go scrap, building a new team. And they're achieving results. You cannot plant, you cannot sow maize and harvest plantain. It's not possible.
But Nina, we seem to always say that we should go back to the drawing board, or we are going back to the drawing board. So how come that the work on the drawing board is not delivering
ever translating into
results that we want?
George, you agree with me that it's not just a matter of resources in management.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Or raw materials. Management style and management attitude is the one that will bring all the cohesive capital together. You could have a wonderful group of workers, but if the management style is poor, you will not achieve the targets.
Yeah.
So that is what we also have to look at. You could also have a good, creative, good management, but if the manpower and then, let me say, machinery or factors of production are bad, you will not achieve results. So the value chain is important.
And I know Ms. Sanda was deeply involved in, is it the 2006 World Cup? Because you were in MTN at the time? 2008. Okay, the African Cup of Nations, I remember vividly. There were a number of activities that were undertaken involving the team, and so at least he's not so alien to football after all.
I'm not so much of a novice.
I'm
not so much.
No, you're not at all. You're not at all. But the thing is that the way the team feels also tends to translate to the way the supporters feel and how they play on the field. And you could have the critics of the team saying that they were not oozing the confidence that they needed.
The issue has to do with when people always want to create the impression that it is Mr. B, it is Mr. A, it is this. You know, people even think that Neil Vanderpoel has some voodoo that he has cast on the team for the team to perform poorly. Why?
So you think you're just talking and saying the facts?
You see, we live in a country where people misinterpret criticism to be bad wish or ill wish. It is not. It is not.
So I mean, I think, I'm sorry that I'm asking the question, but Nilante seems to be focusing on the style of leadership and stuff like that, okay? And when he was minister, what did he do differently, and what does he think that is being done wrong, so that we can all pick up the learnings?
He was interfering.
Intervention. You see, George, football has a different sort of language. You know, it's always difficult when you are in authority and where you want certain things to be done. And the way football is structured, people have created the impression that officialdom has no business interfering or
well, that's what FIFA says.
It's not true. It's not true.
FIFA says.
It's not true. Look, FIFA knows that in Africa, without state bodies, without a national
football
injection, football cannot succeed.
So
there should be collaboration.
I mean, the government funds a significant portion of the football.
Because now we're putting money,
so
and we're not getting returns.
How can we then say that after government funding, then the government should stay off totally? I don't.
As a fan, are you worried about it? That we have a state of football in this country. You look at the local league, translated into the ones that go outside to play in the various leagues.
Well, I think beyond a fan, as a Ghanaian, I am extremely worried. I am extremely worried that, like Nilante said, I mean, well, he said festivals are things, activities that bring people together. But I think that in addition to festivals, there are certain platforms like football, okay, that bring people together. And like he said, you're not supposed to see politics being played out in the field of football. I mean, it's a team. And football is a game that, for me, it's an embodiment of what we stand out to look for in proper governance, in proper leadership, and the values of MTN, I mean, sort of sum it together. It talks about leadership. You see leadership being displayed in football. You see innovation, the kind of styles, the kind of moves that they are making. You see the can-do spirit, okay, where when the team is down, they keep on trying to make it to the last minute, okay? You see integrity, where people are being honest. Sometimes people are dishonest when they sort of jump into the penalty box and they lie down, and then when the referee realizes that they are just trying to play him, he will show the card and stuff like that, okay? So, and then there's a bit about the relationship between the players, okay? The strong relationship. I mean, he was talking about when somebody is going, you have to cover the person, and you have to provide the right kind of support. So I think that the fact that we seem to be losing out, and we seem to be living on past glory is a big concern for quite a number of Ghanaians.
Do you see from the posture of management and the players that I'm not talking about the team management, but football administrative management and the players, that we seem to have this overriding confidence that we've been there before 3 times in a row, and so we can do it?
That may seem to be the situation, but I struggle to understand what the motivation for that would be, because we haven't achieved the ultimate. I mean, participating in the World Cup is not the ultimate. I mean, even if you have won the World Cup, it is still not the ultimate, because it needs to go on and on and on. I mean, you need to be able to sustain that leadership that we have. So I actually struggle. I mean, of course, I'm getting some insight from what my big brother is explaining to us today, but I struggle to find out why we are going down the line as far as our leadership in football in the continent and the world is concerned. I mean, you started your narration by talking about some miracle that could happen, and I thought that I've seen some posts on Facebook with some mathematical calculations, and I was thinking that Nilante could try and explain to me, because I mean, with 2 points, it's extremely difficult to find out how we can actually qualify,
unless everybody else in their group don't play.
Yeah, I mean, so reality. I mean, Nilante, let's face reality. Is it possible? Is it a difficult possibility? Is it an impossibility? Or are we in a comfortable lead to go and start?
Just a minute, and then we'll move on to the next issue, please.
And let me say, well, in football, anything can happen. In football, anything can happen. A team that is at the summit, all of a sudden, could not. You saw last year the performance of Leicester City, and even Chelsea the year before. So it's always possible that these things could happen. But then in Africa, it's always very daunting for you to have such a system, because everybody will want
to. But Nigeria beat Cameroon.
But yesterday in the Cameroon at home, Cameroon drew with them.
Yeah, anyway.
You understand? Everybody, you try to make the best out of your home environment. Cape Verde beat South Africa in their home.
Yeah.
So everybody will make this. That's why I thought that we should have done everything possible to win against Congo.
That's true.
We should have won against Congo. It would have made our situation as precarious as it is today. I don't expect the Congolese to sit down and let us beat them. Our best result in this match will be a draw. If we beat Congo, then I will believe in the miracles happening in this qualification. Because even if we beat Congo, because the difficulty we are going to have today, we should look at the result that will come out the match between Egypt and Uganda. The Egyptians definitely will win at home. You understand? They will win at home. When they win at home, it makes our situation even more difficult.
All right.
Because the Egyptians will be coming here, and they will come to frustrate you.
Yeah. The North African style.
Yeah, they will come to frustrate you, and they will do everything.
Anyway.
And you see, football politics in Africa too is another thing. So we need to look at those issues very carefully. It is not impossible, but it is highly difficult to be able to surmount this hurdle.
All right, so let's move on. On the front page of
but before we go,
then,
let's ask ourselves, if this is the situation, what then will be our plan for the next World Cup?
It's not
that's what we should be thinking about.
It's good that you're ending on that premise, that question. Sure that, you said we were paying bribes. I saw you were being quoted somewhere.
Okay.
Lands Minister has no basis to revoke our mining leases, and that's coming from Exton Cubic Group, challenging the Lands Minister because the minister is quoted on the front pages as well as in the various news reports of the multimedia group outlets, Joy FM, Adom, etc., that the mining lease for the Nyinahine concession of Exton Cubic has been declared null and void, or perhaps taken away from them. Once it's been revoked, I have to start with you, Mr.
Why do you have to start with me?
Oh, you're in government.
No problem, no problem.
I know you don't sit in cabinet, but you hear the news that circulates in cabinets than maybe Nilante will hear. So, what do you make of the point where we are now? In my mind, if it's being revoked, it means that there was a lease after all. We're told at some point that there was no lease, rather they were doing exploratory activities, etc.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that the statement that even you shared with us when we came in here, which is signed by the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, states clearly what the issue was. The fact that you have been issued with a license doesn't mean that you can go and operate irrespective of whether or not you have fulfilled or delivered on the other statutory requirements. And the law that we work with clearly states that there are certain requirements that need to be fulfilled by anybody that is giving a license to mine or to explore. And I think clearly from the press release and from the letter that was written to the company, certain infractions have been observed. And the law empowers the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources to revoke the licenses that were issued. And I think it covers three licenses. It's interesting that from the company's response, they are saying that they're going to seek legal action. And I believe that it's within their right for them to seek legal action. So if they are not satisfied with the current situation and with the explanations that have been provided by the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, which I find to be legit, because there are a number of laws that have been quoted, a number of acts that have been quoted, there are a number of infractions that have been specifically mentioned, including certain publications that were not done, certain engagements that were not done, including the fact that it didn't come to Parliament for Parliament to rectify. So these are clearly breaches of the law, and we believe that the law is the law. So yes, it's within their right to go to court. I believe that the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources has done the right thing under the current circumstances, and I look forward to what next in this situation.
Okay, so I know you've gone through the technical grounds on which this has been revoked is well spelled out, and it looks like it's legit. They should have no cause to complain.
Thank you very much. Let me say it's unfortunate that we've got into this stage. I personally thought that after the initial outburst between the Minister of Mines and Natural Resources and his colleague, the Ashanti Regional Minister, and upon assurances that I thought that we were going to have an engagement with the Exton Cubic people between the ministry and so that we can resolve this issue. I think where we have gotten to is quite difficult and but the whole politics involved in this is what I am not happy about. You and I know that government is interested in bauxite exploration in this country. As, let me say, as part of the integrated aluminium industry, also for our rail development. Because you cannot have railway development without bauxite. The sense that the bauxite that is going to be transported cannot be transported on our roads because they will tend to spoil our roads. So you know when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President, returned from China, he talked about the decision that they arrive at a memorandum of understanding with Chinese partners so that they will help us develop our rail and then we give them bauxite. I think when that agreement was virtually entered into, the government didn't know that these mining concessions had been given out. So what I believe government should have done is to engage the people who have been given these leases of the mining concession. But I think people, in a way, want to play politics with it. Who is the one holding the concession? Oh, it is President Mahama's brother, Ibrahim. Oh, let's get it away from him and use it for our business. And that, I think, is what is generating all these. Because from the posture of the minister at that time, earlier on, I saw the minister deciding to do what was right. Look, these people have been given license. They've gone through all the... I told you last time, it took Exton Cubic 3 years to secure the lease. They met all conditions. 3 years. When Ibrahim's brother was the president. 3 years to go through this. All this EPA thing they are talking about. And that is why the group is saying they will go to court. Because all these things that we quoted, I have copies of them.
You do?
I have copies of them. I have copies of all the documentation. These documents, I have copies of them. In fact, I asked for a whole, and they gave me all the time periods, all the days that they secured all this, when they applied, when they went for interview, when they were granted, or in almost all these cases. Because according to them, they knew that tomorrow somebody will say the lease has been granted because Ibrahim is the brother of the president. So they decided to go through the due process to make sure that they've gotten everything legitimate. So I thought that we could have rather This indigenous business, Ghanaian business. We could have engaged them. Said, look, even though you'll be giving this is what the government has. This is the plan of the government. Is it possible for you to team up with these our foreign partners? Is it possible for you to do with or is it possible for you, okay, let's agree, this, even though this is the lease that we have, can we talk about it? Can we have this? And then we can advance our, this is what we should be doing in our economy, in our politics. But to force a minister, look,
who told you the minister has been forced?
Oh, please.
The minister has signed.
Well, can I come in?
I want it to be more interactive, so you can come.
Okay.
I think it will be unfair. You've been a minister before.
Yes, I know.
Have a deputy minister here too, so.
And I've been a minister. If I can tell you, sometimes you, the minister,
you are forced.
You'll be prevailed upon to take a decision, which to you will not be.
It's unconscionable.
Yes, but then because it's a system, you need to obey the system.
You mean you need to obey orders?
It's interesting that my big brother and colleague would say that he has documentation that would fault all the issues that the minister has raised, that there have been infractions.
You doubt it?
Well, him and I in Parliament.
I can give him a copy.
I mean, him and I in Parliament, we know that one of the infractions is that Parliament hasn't rectified the license. I'm not too sure that he can put his hand on his chest and say that there has been something that has come, a paper that has come to Parliament for us to rectify the license for this operation. So clearly there have been a number of infractions that have been stated here, and these are public things. I think that to the point that he was making, that if this is supposed to be the former president's brother, and because he's the former president's brother, the operation was going to be sabotaged. If that was the reason, then what any good operation would have done was to make sure that they cross all their T's and they dot all their I's. So it's interesting that even though some people are thinking that this was what was going to happen, all these instructions were still live, okay, and it gave room for the license to be revoked. And I think the most important thing is that if indeed they feel hurt, they feel that their rights have been trampled upon, there's always the court for them to go to. And the minister has stated what empowers him to take the decision that he has taken. He was making reference to the position that the minister and the Ashanti Regional Minister were disagreeing. I think when we were kids, there was a saying that we all used to hear, that it's only a fool that doesn't change his mind in the light of new information. So if indeed the minister had a previous position and there's new information that was made available to him, and based on that he does the honorable thing, does the right thing that he believes is in the best interest of Ghana, and he has taken that decision, so be it. If anybody feels aggrieved, let the person go to court and let the court listen to what the situation is, and the court will rule on it.
Well, I have no problem with George's stand. It's right. But what I'm saying that I do not know the last time Parliament, our law said that Ghanaian company entering into this sort of arrangement with our country should have a ratification of Parliament.
It does.
I don't know. Well, I've never been in Parliament. I've been in Parliament. I've never.
Because it's never been done. So the fact that things were not done
the reasons why the minister cited did not indicate that. I'm talking about the reasons the minister cited. I'm saying I have documentation on this exploration operating permit for the year 2017. The people have not started operating in 2017. They are not. An exploration operation plan to the Minerals Commission. This has been given before the Minerals Commission even granted the lease. So I'm saying that per what we have on paper, because if we go to court tomorrow, this is what is going to court. This is the letter you have written. And so if I meet the conditions you set under this, then you are not being transparent with me. This is what we are talking about.
Well, Neil,
the issue of parliamentary ratification has to do with interpretation, because I don't know which article.
Neil, the law is the law. But again, even if we just narrow it to this document that we have in front of us, if you look at point 2, where it says that there was no publication or notice of the pendency of the application for the prospecting license in the Gazette as required by section 13(2) of 3 of the Act 703 and Regulations 177.
That's all they say.
There was no notification.
You notify the assembly. It's assembly where you will notify. That is where the gazetting should be done.
Neilante.
In assembly.
Neilante, there's a...
It has to be a public gazette.
It's exactly.
Please.
Okay, it's a 2, it follows with a 3.
You can even publish in the publisher. You know the publisher newspaper.
So who gazette?
They could have even published in the publisher.
They say you serve it on the notices of our assembly and the regional coordinating council.
I know.
That's what you do.
Neilante.
Yes.
Neilante, if we all know, or since we all know,
was it done?
That this was something that should have been done.
Yes.
Okay, and it wasn't done. And the minister is saying that this thing wasn't done because you didn't supply certain documentation.
So that is enough grounds.
But that is the law.
To revoke. That is not the law. That is not the ultimate law.
Neilante,
that's not the ultimate law.
Your view or your interpretation
that
may
is
not
be
right.
Look,
the law says that if the minister
do this A, B, and C,
and the law says that
if you satisfy only A, B, and you don't satisfy C, it could be grounds.
Yeah, Roland. And the law says that in the wisdom of the minister, if he feels that you have breached, he reserves the right to revoke your license.
No.
Okay, well, I mean, you can't say.
Well,
no.
he said that he's been a minister before. You're a minister. He says that people are pulling strings. That's what he's saying.
Or maybe within his administration. I believe that what His Excellency...
You haven't been on anything for which your strings will be pulled, so just relax.
You could have a different view. You could have a different view on an issue based on the amount of information that's made available to you. But I think that when additional information is made available to you, you could swing your position. In any case, it doesn't mean that if you have a different view, it means that you go and express your different view. It's a government view. So when the government wants a certain position and the majority of cabinet or cabinet approves it, then you obviously have to toe that line.
What do you think is the cabinet position?
Well, I don't think that the position,
the license should be revoked.
All right. So we have an insight from John Peter Amewu, who is the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Let's just watch this and be back here.
Section 11 to 22 of Act 703 set out the mandatory procedure to be complied with by an applicant for the grant of any mining rights in the country. A mineral right refers to the various distinct rights of recognizance, prospecting, or mining conveyed by a grant by the state. A scrutiny of the processes leading up to the grant of the mining leases in favor of the company discloses non-compliance of the statutory requirements for the grant of any of the valid mining leases. It is the exclusive duty of the minister under Section 13, subsection 1 of Act 703 to determine and notify an applicant of a grant of a mineral right. The purported notifications by the Minerals Commissions of the grant of the company's applications for mining leases to the company is contrary to law. Section 13, subsection 4 of Act 703 again requires an applicant to indicate in writing an acceptance of an offer of grant of mining right within 60 days of receiving notice of the grant. Section 13, subsection 6 indicates that an approved application shall lapse if the applicant fails to accept the offer in a form stated in subsection 4. There is no record of an acceptance of the offer of the mining lease in writing by the company as mandatorily prescribed by Section 13, subsection 4 of the Act. Ladies and gentlemen, the absence of publications of the Gazette of Notice of the pendency of the company's applications and service of notice of the various entities specified in the law is contrary to both Section 13, subsection 2 of Act 703 and Regulation 177 of LI 2176. The various statutory infractions leading to the purported grant of the 3 mining leases to the company render the purported leases invalid and of no effect. In the circumstances above, and in accordance with Section 87 of Act 703, the 3 mining leases are hereby revoked.
So John Peter Amewu is the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, and that should be it. Formal announcement made, no qualms about any other thing or proposition that may be espoused anywhere, and the release is just concise.
And the court's open to seek redress if you feel aggrieved.
Fantastic.
I don't have
Reminds
any
me of
problem.
Kenya.
I don't have any problem. It would be suicidal for Exton Cubic not to go to court. I want to see what the
You're
court
giving
will
the
say.
legal advice.
Yes, with the little law I'm learning, I think I will be too happy to be part of the team to be looking at this.
Well, good that you're not a lawyer yet.
Yes, I wouldn't be too happy to be part of this team if I were a lawyer, because the whole thing.
It smacks.
I didn't use that word.
I'm helping you.
No. I think we've not really. We could have used much more tactful, diplomatic means to resolve this issue. Especially, you see, we should not forget one thing. If you know, let's not look at Ibrahim Mahama as a person. Look, we are doing politics, and we should understand that what goes round will definitely one day come round. We set a very bad precedent in this country where, for one reason or the other, it's happening all over the place, in public services and all those places. We're taking this our political, this too far.
Political what? You say,
let me say,
vindictiveness
and all those things too far. I think, seriously speaking,
you think there's a certain vendetta?
Look, I've known George for a long time. Before, we were all in the media. When I was in GBC, he was with the Breweries. We used to work together on sponsorship and all those things. Look, what will I gain by engaging in politics? And I say, look, George, I want to do this against George. I want to do this in order. I want to destroy him. I want to do this. No, tomorrow, the wheels could turn. And then the spirit of vengeance and retribution will come in. Look, today, people are perceived to be NDC, so they've been thrown away from their chairs in the office and their desk in the office. What happens tomorrow, in 2021, when we have taken over?
Or 2024?
I said 2021, when we have taken over.
Or 2028?
You may not be asked by a letter to vacate your seat. You may be pulled with a rope out. Is that it's not the sort of country we want. I thought that President Atamil set a standard of governance in this country, and we should have continued with that. What is happening is not the best. I don't know how this will have happened if it was somebody like Wontumi who has this concession in Yinahini. Would they have revoked his license? Would they? Or they would have engaged him?
Well, Wontumi also had his machines broken down, etc. When the NDC
so that's what we are talking about, an eye for an eye.
Roland, if I may, I don't think this is the time to equalize, because I could catalog a raft.
I think he's pain. It says that there will be equalization.
Yeah, but you see, Roland, if I may, you see, when we come and sit here, we don't come to express our pain. We come to look at the issues. And my colleague is a senior in Parliament, and he knows that the laws are the laws. Okay, let us focus on these issues. Have the laws been broken? If the laws have been broken, it is clear. If the laws have not been broken, then please go to court. Okay, let us not sit here.
But is it not true that you're in government, so perhaps you will not accede to the view that because of the involvement of a brother of the former president of Ghana, John
Roland, I didn't read anywhere in the letter
I'm
from
saying
the...
that's the
Can I? You asked me a question.
I'm not saying it's my view.
I didn't read anywhere in the letter that the minister wrote that because he's the brother of the ex-president, they are revoking the license.
Nowhere.
Okay.
Nowhere.
If that was what it is, the minister could have written. The minister has written based on certain facts. If you want to dispute the facts, please seek redress. I mean, don't let us do this MPP NDC thing. Okay, I mean, it's interesting that in one breath he says that in football we don't do NDC, MPP, we don't do politics. But when it's convenient and he feels like he can throw in that card in the way of doing business, then we are throwing up. I think that clearly, for me, this shows that this is a government that believes in the rule of law. This is a government that is creating the right environment for businesses to operate. All we are saying is that respect the provisions, respect the laws, and then you operate the way that you have to operate. That is all. That is my ultimate takeout of this.
But
It's
this
not
is also
it's
the
not
government.
it's not looking at the name of the person operating the business. It's not looking at the political inclination or the background of the or whatever political party that the individual has done. Indeed, if you remember, our manifesto promised the theme was the agenda for change, creating prosperity and equal opportunities for all. It didn't say equal opportunities for MPP members or MPP sympathizers. It said equal opportunities for all. Okay, and that's exactly what we are doing. So clearly, if he feels aggrieved, if he feels hurt, then he should please go to court and let the court decide whether Honorable Peter Amewu has done the right thing or whether he's at fault, and then the law would decide what needs to be done.
I would definitely say that, yes, I do not expect George to come here and say that it's the law. Yes, but then under this act, there's also that the minister the commission has the right to invite the people for redress of situations when they arise like this. When you think that before the person, because the person, there are so many processes, exploration and all those things will come in at the last end of it. So if you think that in the way of this, people invest money, Ghanaian businessman has invested money in this. He's done feasibility, he's done seismic data and all those things for a period of years, taking years to go through this. You think that engaging a person on that particular infraction is not more productive than deciding to revoke the license and cancel the permit? You think that is it? So I'm saying that the law is there. But let me say this, if you think that the law is what you can use to strangulate, muzzle, and virtually kill political opponents, then I'm saying that there is what we call the cycle. It will happen tomorrow. I'm saying let's avoid these things. We are developing our democracy and our governance system in such a way that what he claims to be equal opportunity for all should be what we expect to see. It's never happened. 8 months under this government, we've never seen it. Because perceived NDC supporters are being thrown out of their jobs.
Roland.
Perceived NDC sympathizers are being kicked out of places. And perceived NDC businessmen like Ibrahim are being strangulated out of business. And it is clear. So I'm saying that if maybe somebody is losing sight of the theme of the manifesto of the MPP, I'm reminding them that is what they said. George has just reminded me, and I'm also reminding them that this is what you people said. So please adhere to that and stop this muzzling of political opponents.
It's quite. Can we move on? I wanted us to talk about senior high school.
If I may. It's interesting that when a situation happens and some people decide that they are going to play politics with it, then they don't go back. I mean, we are all here just a couple of days ago where somebody who was perceived to be NPP was supposed to be going around ranting on the media, in the media, that he lost out on the contract, and the contract was given to an NDC sympathizer. Okay, I mean, you know the case that I'm making reference to.
Which one?
Well, I mean, I'm sure you know the case that I'm making reference to. So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting that in one breath you say that the equal opportunities for all are not being created. In the next couple of days, just your next subject, the free SHS is starting. I'm not sure that anybody is saying that the beneficiaries are going to be the wards or the children of MPP.
You are comparing apples to oranges. That is not possible. The education, roads,
why is it that
social infrastructure is not possible.
Your point was that
we are talking about individual businesses.
The point that you made,
I think you're talking about equity. And
exactly.
He says that the environment.
You said it has never happened.
And he's saying that the environment.
How can you compare education to somebody's business?
You are saying that it has never happened.
It's not happening.
But I'm sure I'm telling you that the free SHS is happening.
But free SHS is not free.
So we're talking about
you cannot decide to mix and choose. You cannot decide to.
We know that
you can always have a different opinion on something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that
we know that after this week, school is supposed to start for senior high school students. That will be Hopefully, we're going to have in excess over 400,000 students who should be eligible. Many
I
of
think
them
it's 440,000, is it?
420,000.
420,000.
Many of them have been placed in schools with the exception of about approximately 100,000.
128.
Okay, who don't meet, didn't meet the initial criteria. So now we have excess places for them to go and choose schools, etc.
No,
that's a good thing.
128,000.
They have
got
places.
got 9 in either English or maths, and so they have to rewrite.
No,
they have to rewrite next year and get admission.
No,
128,000.
Yeah, yes, but we have 100,000 who have not been placed.
Yes.
Who would have access?
They are part of the 420,000.
If you don't meet the criteria, we're talking about those who meet the criteria. We're not talking about those who have to rewrite. That's I'm
talking about the 120,000 I referred to are part of the 420,000, but they have not been placed yet. You understand? They are the ones who need to be placed in order to enjoy.
Yes.
So the total of people who have been placed is 420,000.
No, who should be placed?
Yes.
Yes.
But then 300 and something have been placed now.
Now 100,000 have done. But there are rooms. There are spaces in various classrooms across the country for them to. But that's a good thing because you speak to.
There are spaces in various classrooms that were built by the NDC government.
Well, when it comes to your point, you can't make all that. But the thing is that you speak to many people. It's something that parents work.
You see, Roland, I keep on saying that the business of government is not an event. It's a continuation. Okay? If we keep on going on the tangent that my regime did this, and so if another regime comes,
it's about me wearing the same design as me. I'm seeing the same design.
It shouldn't build on whatever I came to meet, and I think that is the wrong basis for our understanding of government. So I think that is good that some amount of infrastructure was there. It's good that based on our understanding of the infrastructure that was there, we came out and we said that we're going to do free SHS. In any case, you knew that the infrastructure was there. So on what basis were you saying that free SHS was not going to be possible? I mean, all the doomsayers kept on saying that it's not going to be possible. It's a lie. It's a political lie. The NDC government is on record as saying that the free SHS was not going to be a possibility.
We never said that. We said progressively free.
But indeed, free SHS is live, is happening live for all those 420,000 children that are going to benefit from free SHS education from going to SHS 1. They're going to get an opportunity to further their education. Their parents are not going to pay any examination fees. Their parents are not going to pay any entertainment fees. Their parents are not going to pay any library fees. Their parents are not going to pay any SRC dues. There's not going to be any sports fee. There's not going to be any cultural fee. There's not going to be any co-curricular activities fee, no ICT fees, no science development fees, no development fees, no utility fees, etc.
Everything free.
It's free, okay? We are also aware that for the first time in a very long time, all the textbooks that the schools require have been given to the institutions, and the institutions have been advised to engage vendors for the supply of uniforms to these pupils. So I think that as Ghanaians, this is something that we should all embrace. This is one example of delivering on our promises, added to the other examples of one district, one factory, $1 million per constituency, one dam for farming community. All those infrastructure promises that we made are clearly going to be delivered. And so I think that it's time that we should come together as a nation and embrace a policy that is giving equal opportunities for all. And I'm sure that there are a significant number of people that believe in the ideology of the NDC that are going to be beneficiaries of this. So let's move past the political agenda and let's put Ghana first. Okay, and I think that God being so good, when we keep on saying that the battle is the Lord's, this is one of the battles that the Lord keeps on fighting for us, and it's going to be happy days going forward. So I would like to congratulate the Minister of Education and his team. Also all the technical people, all the headmasters of the various public schools that have brainstormed and made sure that this execution is coming to life. And I wish all the peoples that are going to enjoy this opportunity to make the best use out of it. They are future leaders. The future of this country depends on them, and they should come out and prove to Ghanaians that it was worth the state investing in the education.
Well, what else do I expect from a crack member of the government's?
Are you rebutting him?
I was your
Speaking to the
friend.
issue?
I was your friend. I'm your friend. So why do you keep on referring to me? You should say that your friend.
My friend, my brother-in-law.
Exactly.
My brother-in-law.
You see,
You know, yes, free SHS is good. We, as a government,
Which people?
NDC government, saw the wisdom in free education, especially with the fact that we then had a president who comes from the place in this country where free education was almost, let me say, a very sacrosanct thing for the people. But for free education, I'm sure Kwame Nkrumah's wisdom in making education accessible to our people in the North. So we've always believed in free education. But we also believe in the fact that if you are setting up a policy, we look at the policy dimensions and decide that what are the sort of infrastructure that is needed to be put in place before the policy really blossoms. So our point was to build infrastructure first, to make sure the schools are there so that the school children will be able to attend the school when it is. That's why we came up with the policy of progressively free education. After putting infrastructure, the next step we did was to make sure that we take out some of the fees that are unnecessary, some of the things that, bills that are given to students, make sure. So government came out with approved fees. So if you saw between 2014 and 2016, significantly, some of the things that the school children were paying were taken out. And even day students were even afforded the opportunity to also have certain things taken off their bill. That was a step, a graduating step towards absolutely free education. What we are seeing today is, let me say, building upon the foundation that was set by the NS. And I congratulate them for that they've done it. They've decided to go ahead and build on the infrastructure that was built. I have a problem with just free SHS, a new emblem of education being instituted. All these peripheral things do not really add to the substance. The most important thing that I thought should have been considered by now is what the Conference of Heads of Assistant Secondary Schools are talking about.
What are they talking about?
That they were promised 2 weeks ago that 20% of all the logistics feeding grants that they needed and required to make the students enjoy will be allocated. But up to today, that has not been done. So sometimes we need to look at it. We have to look at the issues.
Neil, finish the whole statement. Okay, in the same statement, he's saying that he believes that by the time they leave and they go back,
yes,
that money would have hit their account.
I'm not.
So
I was coming to that.
But you need to do procurement and all that if you don't have.
So, yes. So I'm saying that. That's what this morning. That's what I heard. So and I heard the deputy minister.
And you are worried about that.
I am worried about because if the students are supposed to go to school by next week, Tuesday, and the procurement have been done, the CHAS will be closing their conference this weekend. When are they going to get the money? When they go, the money is in their accounts. When are going to do procurement and all this to make sure that the students have? So I'm saying that in looking at this, some of the steps which required urgency should have been taken before all these. Let me say.
But you're not worried that now it's taking.
I don't have any problem. I'm worried about the 120,000 people who need to be sorted out before full classes begin. I'm also worried about those who unfortunately could not get a pass mark in English and Maths, that they're going to sit down 1 year. But in all this, I think that as a people we should be looking at how is the program going to be sustainable. The amount of money that is going to go into this, how are we going to make sure that we always.
But let the program start.
No. Program is starting. But as we start the program today, we should be thinking about next year.
You don't think it's going to be?
Because next year, the whole total budget for this is going to double next year.
Yeah, because we're going to have 2 streams.
2 streams. So it's something that we should be worried about, we should be looking at. And I've sat in Parliament, and I know the difficulty we've had in addressing issues affecting national health insurance, for example, because we do not look at the sustainable program to make sure that there is resources available to meet the...
You mean the government of the day?
Yes,
Roland,
to meet the demands
maybe this
which come with it.
Roland,
well,
Roland.
I hope I'm saying that as a people, that's what we should be thinking about. Flowing for what George said, this is not something for MPP, government alone. This is something for Ghanaians. So I should also be concerned. I should be asking questions. And as a member of the opposition, these are the questions I will ask to make government become proactive to the possible pitfalls that will face the system tomorrow. 2, I'm saying this. I had a minister talking about some 120,000 people who always do not get the opportunity of going to secondary school because their parents could not possibly meet the requirements and the financial burdens that's associated with this. Yes. Whatever system we operate, even today, there are parents, even though it's free, even the money to buy the trunk,
it's a problem.
It will be a problem. You understand?
Do they still use trunks? Or
they do. Even if it's not trunk, even chobos
or whatever, and
a gege bag to let it will be a problem. There are parents who have a problem with how to get a lunka of gari and a tin of milk, a bar of soap for their children to go. So whatever system we operate in this country, there are always certain people who will fall off. What as a country we should be looking at? What are the systems we put in place for those people who, even when we make it free, will still not be able to? Because look, if you say you make free education for me sitting here, it will not make any impact. There are thousands of people out there who I think that we should be looking at.
In other words, what are you saying? That government should have sieved or
no. What I'm saying is that
those who could not pay.
In free education, we should also be looking at the other side of it. This one, possibly, the direct expenditure we are talking about. But what about the indirect one? Before that child packs and go to school.
But what are you
right now, the burden is going to come on George.
You're talking about education. You're talking about livelihood.
Roland, if I may.
Education, livelihood. Then why did we do LEAP? If livelihood is not important.
You know, but that's why those programs are there. But we're talking about direct education and
Roland, may I come in?
Looks like you're raising doubt where there should be no doubt.
You see, I'm not raising doubt.
You see,
I'm raising concerns of my electorate.
Right.
My brother,
noted,
in one breath, says that we should commend the government for the
building
position
upon what the NDC
but that's a good thing.
Positive, okay. Then he goes back to his campaign mode, where they were saying that this was not going to be possible.
No, I've not said that.
Okay, they were saying during the campaign we all heard what the NDC was saying that
who
that this was not going to be possible.
No, but can I say?
Can I land, please? Okay,
George.
Okay. Now, despite all the negativity, His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has shown leadership. He's worked with the Minister of Education, and we have put out a program that is giving free SHS for those that are coming into secondary education in public schools. I agree that we'll not be able to satisfy everybody, yeah? But these are parents of over 400,000 pupils that now are going to have some economic relief.
Including you and I.
These are some 440 people, 440,000 people, a significant portion of them that may not have had the opportunity to go into a public school and get the education that should be available to them. So, whilst flagging the challenges, okay, which is fair, let us also push the positives of this program. Okay, I think that by now, by this demonstration, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, His Excellency the President, has demonstrated that he's a thinking president. He thinks far. Okay, so don't worry about the farness, because we've always thought far. Okay, he has, as His Excellency the Vice President had said in Cape Coast, this is a team that has replaced an incompetent team. Okay, there's a competent team that's delivering on its promises. Okay, and Ghanaians are seeing the promises that are being delivered. So Neil Ante should not worry, no shaking. His concerns are legit, that after this, what next? How is he going to be sustained? It's all out there. Okay, it's all out there. He's a member of parliament. He can easily file a question to the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Education to get that when Parliament resumes to get that clarity that he needs if those are the questions that his constituents are asking. Okay, but on the flip side, I think that this is a time for us to unite as a country. This is a time for us to put Ghana first. And if I may, I mean, yes, the Deputy Minister has said that there are a few hitches in rolling out the program. But he has also said that the ministry is generally close to the finish line. The statement that he quoted of the Charles president, I just want to read the whole sentence. He's saying that we were promised about 2 weeks ago, we were promised that about 2 weeks to reopening, about 20% of the money will be sent. But I don't think that the money has hit any account. Emphasis, I don't think that the money has hit any account. Now, all headmasters. Hold on. It's English. Now, all headmasters are at the conference. Perhaps by the time we go back, the money would have hit the account. Okay? Then he goes on to say that we are expecting the Deputy Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, at our conference this week. Perhaps when he comes, he will be able to explain things to us. The classrooms are ready. The dormitories are ready. It is left with the logistics. Okay, so I don't think that this is a statement of doom. Okay, he's even saying that most likely by the time that they leave the conference and they go back to their schools, the money would have hit their accounts and they can sort out their logistics. He's also said that the Deputy Minister is meeting with them. So whatever issues that are problematic at this stage, I believe that will be clarified. So let us look at the positive side. Let's look at the brighter side. It's a new day. Okay, there's proper engagement that is taking place. The children are excited about the opportunity to enjoy this free education. Let us give the president a pat on his back.
But is it not also a constant? That's the worry on the part of those who are skeptical is the fact that, well, we're giving everything free. So what happens? What could happen to quality? Because the skepticism could be or is that if we're giving everything free to even those who could afford, then it means that we will not have enough to invest in expanding infrastructure, resources, training, and that would affect quality.
Our human capital base is the biggest asset that we have as a nation. There's nothing wrong with investing in developing our human capital base. Okay? In Rwanda, there's a case study that the public education system has been so invested in that now the public schools are the schools to be with, and even the private schools are not getting the right level of enrollment. The pass rates of the public schools are much higher than the pass rates of the private schools. And indeed, I will wish that we get into that kind of a situation, okay, where the equal opportunities for all that are being created, once the access route for education is through the public schools, then we must provide the right infrastructure, we must provide the right curriculum, we must provide the right basic amenities, okay, providing chalk on time. You remember in the past, the schools were complaining that they didn't even have chalk. Okay, when was the last time you had this? Have you had this year? Have you had it this year, Roland? Okay, I mean, let us look at the positivity and let us stand behind and pray for His Excellency President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, so we keep on delivering on our promises.
This is your last submission was for
you see, Roland, before I go, let me clarify this point. See,
and this is your last point.
When we're talking about chalk, which school uses chalk today? Go to the schools.
Oh, you're out of touch. You're out of touch.
I'm telling you, look, they use. I've been to.
They use what? They use what? You said they don't use chalk.
See. I said,
what did they use in Bourgeoisie?
Thank you.
No.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
No, but he's saying who uses.
I said, I'm saying that, look, chalk is outmoded. It's getting out of the system.
Yes. That's true.
Understand.
That's true.
Most of the schools are using felt pens.
It's not true.
It's
not true.
How do they call it? Markers.
Markers.
It's not true.
Roland.
Let me
just.
In Accra.
Not in Accra.
Kumasi.
Oh, please, I've been to villages. I'm campaigning. You don't know.
Oh, yeah, comfortable lead.
Let me come say. Let me also say this. I'm happy George referred to something. What Baumia said at Capos. When Baumia was saying it, he had forgotten that incompetent team built the classrooms that the school free HS people are going to, the dormitories and the classrooms that the free HS people are going to.
Because they haven't built anything yet.
You haven't built, and you are calling people who have built for you to put on the free HS as incompetent.
Granted.
But you see, that's what I'm saying, that we've got into a level when you are in presidency, you are in government, you don't talk politics anymore. You talk national cohesion. You don't say the things that will let one side of the divide move away from what you are doing. Okay. So I'm saying that they need to grow into it. They need to grow into governance.
And let's what is making one side of the divide?
So that's it.
But if you come, if you consider like he did, call me and my people incompetent
for communication.
Some of them were
Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senior West and Nenyi Georganda. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks.
And then also Neelante Van der Poel is a Member of Parliament for the Ododo constituency.
And
thank you, John.
His wife is from
yes. The wife is from the honorable members. Yes, he's doing what?
Maybe contesting him
in
2020.
And today, okay.